No story hits without a banger intro, and this one kicks off with a heap of corpses. A guy staggers through the carnage, dodging the shadows creeping in. The only thing he recalls, facing down a nightmare creature that shredded him to bits until some radiant, gold-armored warrior came to the rescue. The redhead knight crushed the beast, trying to save him, but it was already too late. Dude was bleeding out fast. His sight dims as some angelic figure cradles him. It's thanks to this one guy that the whole world was spared. But while the planet lives on, his body's giving out and there's no coming back. Even so, all he could focus on was that serene look from the Valkyrie who stayed with him as he took his last breath. Some ordinary guy ended up becoming the hero, saved the world, and died doing it. Back then, he had no clue he'd have to run it all back and step up again as Earth's only hope. But let's rewind. Noah Brown's floating through some endless void, trying to wrap his head around that whole monster brawl before he died. Out of nowhere, this giant cosmic horror appears. Some godlike creature claiming to be the embodiment of emptiness. It rebuilds his soul from scratch, but not out of kindness. Now they want access to a rare code fused into his spirit. Noah's terrified of pissing off this god-tier being, so he digs deep inside himself. And the astral interface boots up. That's when it shows the code's now permanently bonded with him. The moment that's confirmed, the void god flips out because now it can't rip the code from him anymore. The cosmic terror tries forcing him to become its puppet, but Noah's not buying it. He's like, nope, no benefits here, no contract, and zero proof this god thing's even being honest. The system throws out a suggestion, maybe form a pact with the god, but Noah's instincts scream that something's shady. Noticing his hesitation, the void entity devours his soul. Saying this is the only path forward. It decides it'll just rip the seal from his corpse after he's dead, but Noah digs his heels in and straight up denies the offer. The creepy void monster tries to bait him again, offering divine-level power. Still, Noah's not budging. Instead, he breaks away and proposes a pact with the astral god instead, swearing he won't turn on them. Our clever guy figures that if the void god could have wiped him out, it would have done it already. The cosmic being accepts the deal, locking in a contract that gives Noah access to an exclusive power. Then his body gets dropped into Arendir, a place where a bunch of deranged cultists are in the middle of a summoning ritual. And yeah, surprise, they brought in him, thinking he's some otherworldly abomination. They even try offering a blood sacrifice to win him over. The psycho executioner of the group pulls out his blade and begs the abyssal being to take the woman as tribute. I mean, let's be real, if you saw the girl, you'd probably fold too. Anyway, Noah's got zero clue what's going on. One moment he's having a weird Q&A with a cosmic Cthulhu-type dad. And the next, he's being worshipped like an eldritch beast. He's clueless, so he turns to the system interface for answers. The screen pulls up quest window first, then opens the main menu showing 4 sections: abilities, skills, perks, and quests. Noah's current mission is to, well, use the best tactic ever invented by humans to fucking run. The place he's in, total nightmare, crazy cultists everywhere. If he makes one wrong move, they'll ruin his life. But Noah's not even sweating the reward. He's too busy trying to process the chaos around him, realizing he's surrounded by lunatics who believe he's some demigod. Instead of bolting, he leans into the role, playing the part of a pissed-off abyss entity. He snarls at a cultist, demanding to know where the hell he's been dragged to. The trembling follower barely holds it together as he stammers that this is Arendir, and they summoned him as a sacrifice exchange for an awakened life. Noah cranks the acting dial up to 11 full drama mode, pretending they just disturbed some terrifying ancient force mid-nap. It works. The cultists panic, bowing and scrambling to explain that he can cross between worlds freely since he's so powerful. Still, Noah's flying blind. His brain's running on fumes trying to figure this mess out. Thankfully, the system jumps in. He pops open the perks tab and discovers a skill called Identify, something all awakened beings supposedly have. Long story short, it's like a scanning ability. He gives it a shot on a nearby cultist. The readout shows basic info, like who the guy's affiliated with and that the executioner's part of their group. Not much else though, not even for the knockout girl sleeping on the ground. Naturally, Noah figures the girl probably doesn't love the whole being sacrificed thing, so he thinks it's a good idea to get her out. But how? He needs a solid diversion, so he checks his inventory. All he's got is a single scroll. He pulls it out to see what it does. The cultists, dumb as bricks, instantly assume their summoned god can teleport. Honestly, works in Noah's favor, makes his powers look legit. The scroll opens and dumps a massive wall of text about the realm and his so-called mission. It even includes a contract clause. If Noah breaks the pact, his soul's getting torched in a way worse than stepping on a Lego barefoot. Knowing this is all he's got, he shouts to the cultists, demanding they release the girl. He promises to grant their request in return. Apparently, he wants her as a personal servant, but for some reason the cultists hesitate and start whispering. Noah throws out a follow-up, asking if they're seriously ignoring his command. Scared stiff, one of them speaks up. He explains that they're just shocked. Every past pact they've ever seen always needed a sacrifice. This is the first that didn't. Noah raises a hand to silence the noise. He walks over to the girl and quietly tells her the truth. He doesn't know how he got here. He asks her to just play along and act like he's in control. Honestly, dude's a master manipulator. He sells the performance hard, then he bellows for the woman to rise, declaring her his servant. Everything's running smoothly until the cult's top boss shows up, demanding to know what the hell's going on. Big yikes. Noah panics internally. One of the lackeys explains that they summoned some god-tier being and that he took the sacrifice woman as his own. Then, in a twist of comedy gold, the cult leader starts yelling at everyone, calling them morons for summoning nothing but a regular damn human. The cult leader immediately shouts for them to capture Noah on the spot, but our guy's got fast reflexes. He charges straight at the executioner and slams him to the ground. Thing is, he totally blew his first quest from the system, the one where he was supposed to dip. So now his follow-up mission, take out the executioner and break his way out. Not gonna lie, watching the main dude flop the first objective is actually kind of refreshing. Anyway, with the executioner pinned, Noah slams a vicious combo of punches right into the guy's bald dome. No hesitation. After laying down a flurry of hits, the executioner's a twitching wreck on the floor. Then Noah notices a golden key nearby and quickly snatches it. He chucks it toward the chained-up woman, hoping she'll unlock herself. The throw connects, but just as that happens, Noah sees something awful. The executioner's got his weapon back. Now it's a standoff, sword guy versus unarmed street fighter. They both charge in, the executioner screaming like a maniac, out of nowhere. Dark tendrils lash out, wrapping around Noah and locking him in place. Bad news, the executioner uses the opening to stab him, driving the blade straight into his chest. His health drops like a rock, down to red alert. Blood sprays everywhere as Noah wheezes in pain. The executioner yanks the sword out, ready to land the killing blow. But before he can strike again, boom, a wave of fire slams into him, roasting him into a crispy steak. Noah looks up, and yep, it's the same badass flame queen from earlier, and she is furious. The rest of the cultists try to jump her, but they're toast, literally. With one sweep of her flame, she reduces them to ash. Makes you wonder how she even got captured to begin with. She's burning hot power-wise, and other ways too. She spirals fire around the entire squad, vaporizing every last one. Seeing his prized minion get barbecued, the cult boss finally decides to handle it himself. Meanwhile, Noah's barely dragging himself toward the sword, but a cultist charges him for the finisher. His HP's hanging at a nasty 8%, but he's not going down easy. This man is going out swinging. He taps into his last ounce of willpower, grabs the blade, and skewers the attacker like a champ. All the while, the astral entity is lurking nearby, watching with amusement from the shadows. The cultist drops dead. That's Noah's first real kill. Suddenly, system notifications explode on screen. He's officially started leveling up. Not only did he complete the kill quest, but he also got XP for rescuing Aurelia Fruster, the Flame Warden herself. As dizziness kicks in, the system feeds him more experience points. Problem is, he's got no class or path to actually use them yet. Now hanging by a thread, the system gives him a one-time chance to choose. Blood pouring from his chest, Noah collapses, thinking how ironic it is to die right when his second life started. Apparently, even Truck Kun gave him a round 2. But not a round 3. Everything goes dark again, his soul floating in the void. That's when the system begins his official awakening and shifts him back to the astral realm. When he opens his eyes, he's like, where the hell am I this time? Then he sees it. An arcade machine right in front of him. Yeah, like actual arcade stuff. He hasn't been to one in forever, and it brings back some memories. Looking around, he spots a dude sitting behind a counter, looks exactly like him. The guy casually waves. That's Dylan the Chillin', who greets him with a nod. Noah glares back, not in the mood, and demands answers. He starts complaining about the gods messing with him again, while Dylan just listens calmly like a cool receptionist. Can't blame Noah, man's been killed twice, and the hot flame lady is probably toast again too. Dylan holds up a hand and says, let me break it down. He introduces himself real polite, says he's just a reflection of Noah's subconscious. He doesn't even have a real last name. Noah's a bit thrown by that, but he keeps listening. Turns out Dylan is the void, or at least a part of it, that got formed when Noah made his pact with the astral deity. That leaves Noah deep in thought. He walks over to one of the arcade cabs and fiddles with the arcade stick. He asks if this whole space is some kind of metaphor for his inner world. Right then, the machine turns on. System interface popping up, asking him to pick 3 paths. But before we dive into those, let's break down what an arcade script even is. Dylan explains that it's a representation of a person's soul, like a visual version of their magical essence. In the arcade, it's basically shaped by Noah's subconscious. This spot is called the astral space, familiar, nostalgic, and tailored to him. It even looks exactly like the arcades he used to visit as a kid. As he's messing with the controls, Noah asks straight up why he's here. Dylan makes it clear. He's not some guide or trainer, he's just part of Noah's mind. But this situation's different, so he tells him to press the first button. Noah does, and it opens up the astral fighter selection screen. Boom, class options pop up. You've got stuff like warrior, brawler, thug, mage. The usual suspects. Each one comes with 4 core stats: strength, endurance, speed, and mystic energy. Over time, the paths let these stats grow, but some powerful classes peak early and stop scaling. Noah tries the warrior route first, gives you combat instincts and a bonus point every level. He tries out more classes, all pretty similar at first glance. Dylan says he can always check out more options at other arcade machines. Noah agrees, cause honestly, the first ones kinda suck. At this point, it's full-on character select screen vibes. Dylan shows him another machine. This time for support healer type builds. Noah checks it and finds 4 healer class paths. Tempting choices, especially since he's tired of constantly dying and respawning in pain. Then Dylan drops a bomb. Noah's technically dead already. His body's frozen in near-death mode. And this awakening moment is all happening inside a tiny sliver of time. As soon as he makes his choices, he'll be dumped back into the real world, bleeding out again. Basically, unless he picks a class with instant healing, he's toast on re-entry. One path catches his eye, the Exsanguinator. It's a rare one, heals you by draining enemies as you kill them. The catch, you gotta know a bit of anatomy, but the reward, 2 stat points per level. Dylan thinks it's a solid pick, covers both survival and offense. Noah locks it in, then scrolls through to pick his other 2 paths, so yeah. Turns out Dylan's got a real sneaky side. He straight up pushes Noah toward picking this ultra-rare class called the Void's Herald. And even though it's insanely overpowered, like 10 free stat points per level up kind of op, Noah knows the catch, take it. And you're basically signing your soul over to some cosmic nightmare forever. So instead, he's dead set on picking something that actually fits into his long-term game plan. Time passes and Noah's locked in on his choices. He goes with Astral Walker and Void Hunter as his secondary and tertiary paths. Both of them come with multi-point scaling on level up, plus they barely cost anything. Once all 3 paths are picked, the system hits him with a final confirmation screen, and just like that, Noah pulls the trigger. But the second he does it, boom. Dread slams into him like a truck. Shadowy tendrils start wrapping around his brain like a horror movie. Imagine your safe space, like your room, your bed, your favorite blanket, and then picture some eldritch horror breaking in and dragging you out. That's what Noah's going through right now. Remember Dylan just chilling in the corner, that smug jerk's grinning like a maniac because, surprise, he forgot to mention something. The first awakening process, absolute nightmare fuel, it's pure agony from start to finish. And by the end of it, Noah's screaming out and cursing the living hell out of Dylan for keeping that bit to himself. As the darkness swallows him whole, the system wastes no time. 3 notifications drop back to back. All 3 of his class paths have now officially awakened. And with them, he unlocks 1 skill each. Blood Drain, Blink, and a brutal move called Obliterate. His overall combat rank jumps up to F, the new stat sheet, Power at 4, Agility at 2, Constitution at 3, and Mystic at 6. That's a clean 14 attribute points ready to get distributed however he wants. Next thing we see, Noah's eyes snap open. He's back in his busted up body, barely hanging on. He taps into Blood Drain from the Exsanguinator path, slurps up the blood pooling around him, and his health gets a slight bump now at 11%. As he flips over and sees he's still alive, dude actually smiles. Cut to the boss battle, Cult Leader versus Flame Girl. Things look rough for her, she's getting the fire smacked out of her by this geezer. The old gee's giving major final boss from a shonen arc vibes with that death stare. But hey, never count out a buff queen. Even though her fire's down, she's not quitting right then. The system drops a kill quest, eliminate the cult boss. It's labeled high difficulty, but the reward, a rare ability. And just to mess with him, the system adds a cheeky try not to die as a bonus objective. Orlia squares up against the shadow tentacle that lunges at her. But with her ripped biceps, she blocks it like it's nothing. She powers up a flaming fist and starts throwing hands. The old man just laughing at her like she's not even a threat. As the fight heats up, literally it's fire versus void in a cinematic showdown. Meanwhile, Noah's over here trying to read an essay from the system and figure out what to do next. He checks his stats, still got those 14 points to burn. He thinks it over. He could dump them all into 1 stat for a mega boost or spread them out for balanced growth. He goes with the second route. Gives every stat a slight lift. Back to the arena, and Orla is not playing around anymore. She's landing real hits now. She backs up to reposition, then hammers her fists into the ground. Rubble flies everywhere. She uses the debris like ammo, hurling rocks at the old man with machine gun speed. The cult boss realizes he's in trouble and throws up a barrier to tank the damage. But none of her flames hit him directly. She's close, but not enough. While all that's going down, Noah grabs a blade, drops it into his inventory for quick access, and watches as Orla gets ragdolled into a wall. She's down bad, now it's all on Noah to be the last man standing. The cult leader tries to gaslight his way through it, but Noah plays it cool. He claims he's a messenger from the void with a special delivery. Of course, the guy doesn't buy it, but then Noah pulls out a scroll like checkmate. And suddenly Victril isn't so sure anymore. He keeps playing into the con, saying the void sent him to reward the cult leader for his loyalty. Victril stares at the scroll, and for a second it actually works until rage mode activates. He flips out, furious that some human dared mock the void. The dark tendrils come back, ready to wreck Noah again, but this time he blinks out just in time, literally. That second ability lets him teleport instantly. He pauses time, repositions midair, and lines up the next move. Time's still frozen while he pulls out the sword, charges it to max power, and launches it straight at the boss. The blade cuts through the cult leader's chest like butter, spraying blood everywhere. The hit's strong enough to leave him stunned. Noah shouts to Orlia to wrap things up. She springs into action, closing in for the finishing blow. One massive punch lands, so hard you can almost feel it through the screen. Victril goes flying, but she's not done yet. She goes into rage mode and unleashes a barrage of flaming fists, just absolutely mauling the old man. Whatever brain cells he had left, gone. Then she ends it with a savage kick that seals the deal. Mission complete, the system dings, quest success. All Noah's paths get boosted again and he gains another level. It's official, he and Orlia win. But that W came at a cost. Noah collapses, completely drained. Orlia walks over, grilling him with questions. First one: how he even ended up summoned through a magic circle. Our guy can't even breathe yet and she's already threatening to smoke him if he ever turns on her. She still thinks he might be some kind of freak. To calm her down, Noah says he's human, but when she asks if he's from this world, he goes totally quiet. So here's the deal, Noah's still unsure whether she's gonna murder him for being an alien or not. Even so, he rolls the dice and tells her the truth, he's not from around here. Naturally, Orlia doesn't take it well. She's immediately suspicious, assuming he's tied to the cult. But Noah makes it clear he's got no connections in this world whatsoever. Even when he says he knows no one here, she keeps grilling him. But then her temper cools off a bit. The flame baddie actually apologizes for coming at him so hard, it's just that her squad betrayed her earlier. So she's still trying to shake that off. Noah tries to explain his situation and the system's quest to her, but yeah, she's got zero clue what he's talking about. He even breaks it down like it's an RPG, but that just makes her more confused. She's staring at him like he's speaking alien. At this point, he gives up on trying to explain the system and just introduces himself. Noah, a guy who got reincarnated into this world, but the way he says it sounds off to her. People don't just come back to life unless a god says so, and somehow he already knew her name. But that's only cause his system told him. Still, he's just as lost as she is. The Flame Warden lets him know that off-worlders are super rare, which is why she had questions, but seeing how he acts, she's starting to believe him. Suddenly, she just drops to the ground and begins meditating like it's the most normal thing. Noah's like, what? But she explains that meditation's the go-to method to recharge mana, and she can tell he's almost empty. He's kinda shocked to find out he even has an aura, not the TikTok kind, the real kind. Turns out awakened people have unique energy signatures, and apparently, our boy's the first of his kind to show one. He cracks a joke about how back home they only do party tricks with cards, not real magic. She's genuinely surprised he chose the exsanguinator path since he's clearly new to the whole magic thing. That gets Noah thinking, did he mess up his build? But Orlia says he should be fine. Unless he starts dabbling in necromancy or some creepy forbidden magic stuff that'll piss off the Adventurers Guild. Noah gets curious and asks about the guild, but she's already zoned out to meditate again. Right then, a system window appears and unlocks the meditation skill for him too. Not only that, he now has a mana bar under his health gauge. Since he's got some downtime while the mana refills, he takes the chance to pump up his stats. His 3 skills are all base level and he's only tested 2 of them so far. Curiosity kicks in and he inspects Obliterate. It's a full-blown destroy everything in your path type skill. It's basically a Gojo's purple level move, and holding it even drains his own health. Good thing he went with Exsanguinator or he'd be toast. That path lets him recover health, which is clutch. After some time, both finish meditating, and their mana's back to full. Orlia says it's time to move. She walks over to the cult leader's body and finds what she was after, a gold bracelet that's actually a spatial storage artifact. Think of it like a bag of holding, only way cooler. You can pull out whatever's inside once you get to safe zone. That gets Noah thinking maybe he can do the same with his own inventory and make it appear visually. But Orlia points out one flaw: all storage tools are blood-linked. If the owner dies, you can't open them. She digs through the old man's stuff for a key, and if that doesn't work, she says they'll need outside help to crack it open. While she's working, Noah messes around with the bracelet and boom. He links it with his own inventory and transfers the entire stash. Yup, just like copying files. He scores big mana stones, healing potions, weapons, the whole lot. Orlia has no idea he already looted it. Out of nowhere, he hands her the gold key she was looking for. He tells her he checked out the bracelet's contents and she's floored. She knows it's supposed to be impossible without the key. He gives her the key back and quickly changes into fresh gear from his inventory. Now he's out here posing like a fashion icon, even if his clothes are still half shredded. Then he notices another item, the Ring of Abyssal Eye. Looks cursed. Right, but Orlia says nah, it's just ugly. It actually boosts your mana cap and enhances your senses, so our boy slides the ring on even though it creeps him out. Right away, his mana jumps and his perception kicks into high gear. The flame girl chucks the corpse like trash and Noah With his new sensory boost, finally realizes how op she really is. Turns out she's level 68. And yeah, he's number 69 in her squad now. Anyway, Noah's hyped, dual-wielding daggers from his stash and flexing around like a kid in a toy store. Meanwhile, Orlia walks over to the executioner's dead body, charges a flame in her hand, and asks if this was Noah's first kill. She can tell from experience it's written all over him. She torches the corpses and opens up about why she keeps doing this: cash, glory, respect. But deep down, she does it to help people. That's her real reason for hunting evil. Knowing how heavy a first kill can be, she asks if Noah regrets it. And without even blinking, he says nope, he'd do it again to survive. She digs that answer, reminds him those guys were scum anyway, and stopping them probably saved lives. Noah then pulls out a book from his inventory and asks if she thinks he could become a solid adventurer. She backs him up, says even though he's low level, he handled himself like a pro with what he had. First mission freed her from captivity, without even having the full picture. So yeah, Noah kept his cool the whole time and somehow diffused the tension in the smoothest way possible. That makes him feel a little better, and he's now convinced those dumb job interviews back on Earth finally paid off. Now he's curious. How do you actually activate those artifacts he grabbed earlier? Turns out it's through ritual casting. You usually need a magic circle for that. But just as Orlia is about to draw one out, something wild happens. Noah taps into the book without needing any ritual at all. Orlia's brain short-circuits again, cause yeah, this is absolutely not normal here. The Tome of Sight opens up to him and offers the chance to gain a new skill. It adjusts based on his existing 3 paths. Noah picks the Void Hunter route and unlocks a special vision-based skill. The ring he's wearing also powers it up right away to level 3. Think of it like unlocking a literal third eye. He opens his eyes again and boom, his perception goes through the roof. We're talking 6 eyes from Gojo levels of op. Noah's finally getting that Isekai main character moment. Orlia looks at him like he's cracked. She explains what he's seeing is aura, just like the glow around his own body. Noah's hyped, dropping Gen Z lingo, and she straight up thinks sick means he's catching a disease. Next up, he consumes the second book and binds the Tome of Infliction to his exsanguinator path. That gets him a new skill, Bleed. It causes enemies to start bleeding out over time, and you can coat weapons with the same effect. Even Orlia is shocked. That's the kind of move usually only found in rare tier classes or higher. Before they do anything else, she tosses him a garbage tier mana stone to snack on. But it's not random, she did it on purpose. If he absorbs anything higher level right now, it'll mess him up. Sure, at first. It'll give him a little strength boost, but right after that the poison kicks in. And if he eats one that's too high level, it'll spike his power before paralyzing his entire body. Horrible way to die. Meanwhile, she's flexing her muscles and Noah's definitely distracted. The worst case scenario. Eat a mana stone 3 grades up and your body goes kaboom, instant death. If it doesn't blow you up, your organs just liquefy while you're still conscious. Basically the worst pain imaginable. Noah better not mess this up. The two finally leave the hideout, and along the way, Orlia explains that she's actually here searching for a vault with valuables, and maybe a clue related to someone she's been sent to find. That raises a question for Noah: are there other people nearby? Turns out, yeah. There's a small underground dungeon where the cult's prisoners were kept. Unfortunately, Orlia was the only one who made it out alive. Before they go deeper, she warns him there could be traps or beasts lurking ahead. They push forward, scanning for signs. Eventually, they enter a room and she asks Noah for the storage bracelet. She equips it, ignites a flame swirl, and lifts her arm. A golden beam of light flares out, acting as a torch. In front of them is a wall of glyphs and symbols that make zero sense to Noah. After everything he's seen from the cult, he's convinced humans suck in every world. Orlia calmly explains that power and false beliefs can twist people. These cultists weren't tricked, they knew exactly what they were doing. She kneels to inspect the floor and spots a suspicious area. Definitely looks like a trap. She decides it's safer to leap across, but Noah's zoned out. Lost in thought again, he wants to know what happens to the people who got brainwashed into joining the cult, so Orlia lays it all out. For centuries, the priest of Hellion has stood as a force against the abyss. Her purification ritual can sever the darkness, but it burns your flesh in the process. That method is mostly used to publicly execute cultists, and the ones who survive, they're never the same again. Noah clenches his fists just thinking about it. All he can imagine is a scared kid getting thrown into that same ritual, but Orlia tells him regardless of the story. The outcome's the same, a quick death. They bypass the trap and keep going, eventually stumbling on a weird-looking door. It's sealed with a magic lock, so what does Orlia do? Punches a hole straight through it like a damn superhero. The hit's so strong it lets out a shockwave. Noah even compliments her on inventing the most violent way to open a door. Inside, they find the cult leader's private study, but nothing in the room seems special. Thinking like a villain, Noah figures all the juicy stuff must be hidden somewhere else. He scans the room and grabs a book. Turns out it's a big deal, a rare tome called Advanced Abyssal Call that lets you summon void creatures. The system prompts him accept or decline the new skill, but our boy's too busy flipping books like he's in a movie. Orlaya gets a little worried seeing him drop books everywhere. He's obviously trying that classic movie trick where one book triggers a hidden passage, and boom, he finds a keyhole. Reaching into his inventory, Noah pulls out the gold key and unlocks the secret gate. The whole wall shifts, spins, and reveals a hidden room, like straight-up Indiana Jones vibes. Orlaya is stunned, but Noah says, "This is basic stuff where I'm from." But things take a dark turn real fast. The hidden chamber is soaked in blood and pitch black, so she activates her firefly skill to light things up, and they see just how brutal the scene really is. Blood everywhere right then. The system drops a new hidden quest on Noah. But this one's different, no clear goal, no reward, just a creepy riddle, seek the warnings of the blood. Noah shares the new objective with Orlaya, pointing straight at the blood-covered wall. He's clearly unsettled. No difficulty rating, no prize. Just vague vibes. Orlaya snaps at him, saying if that's really what the quest is, then he better not move a muscle. She reminds him, guys like him are supposed to be out there hunting slimes, not poking around cursed cult hideouts. Noah then glances at the exit and asks, "Why not just leave me here and go get backup from town?" But the woman quickly makes it clear this isn't just black and white. The group that betrayed her still lurking around, and she's stressing they might have been wiped out before her own execution even started. If no one finds their bodies, there's a high chance they'll turn undead. And that's a disaster she's not ready to let happen. Noah pauses, processes what she's saying, and finally tells her that in that case he's sticking around. No way he's letting her bite the dust here. She hears that and fires back with a smirk, teasing how he plans on helping when he couldn't even put a dent in a monster earlier. But Noah claps back, pointing out he's the one who stepped in when Victril almost made her sacrifice. Orlaya brushes it off, calling it a one-time fluke at best. Still, she gives him a bit of props, saying he's actually picking up magic quicker than she thought he would. Noah grins wide and starts flexing that it's all muscle memory from years of gaming, which only makes things more confusing for her. She's baffled, not impressed. While they keep walking with zero sense of direction, they come to a split path with two ways forward, and Orlaya picks the left one. After they enter, Noah starts feeling how the hallway's super narrow and way too boxed in. Orlaya explains that this layout's meant as a defense mechanism to slow anyone trying to invade. She even punches a wall and realizes it's not just tough, it's layered with mana reinforcement. A bit further in, they stop at this huge stone door. Noah, being Noah, cracks a joke asking if Orlaya is planning to break it down with her fists again. But to their surprise, the door creaks open with just a push. Guess what? Noah nailed it. This is definitely Victril's hidden research room. While Noah's just standing there soaking it all in, Orlaya flips through a nearby book and uncovers the old freak's entire game plan. Apparently, he had some twisted idea to jam his familiar into a beastly hybrid. The first try was a total flop, but the goal was clear, a regenerating monster with zero brain power for easier control. She reads more and finds the second test subject wasn't any better. It had wild void-type energy, but ended up too chaotic to handle. That's when things click. His next experiment needed a better base, and she might have been the target. Before they can even react to that nightmare, Noah gets a system ping telling him that the quest with no reward just wrapped up. Right on cue. A weird sound echoes nearby, and they both take off running without hesitating. They spot a few barely alive humans mumbling nonsense about the master. And then their eyes catch something way worse, mutated creatures locked behind thick metal bars. The system flashes a warning, flesh-crafted abominations. Orlaya freezes. She realizes these monsters were once the prisoners held captive with her. She's horrified. One of the messed-up creatures, stitched together from what looks like multiple people, slowly turns away. For a second, they hope they won't get spotted. That dream dies fast when one of the thing's faces locks eyes with Noah's ring. It stares him down and suddenly starts calling him Ringmaster like it just found its mission in life. The beast explodes through the bars and bolts straight at Noah. While Orlaya fires off a flame burst to stall it, Noah sprints for his life, and right then the system hits him with a fresh mission. It wants him to escape and promises a top-tier ability as a reward. He swipes the panel closed and scrambles to plan an escape route. Too bad before he can act. The creature whips out a gross tongue and snatches him mid-run. Noah kicks into overdrive and tries to blink out, but his skill won't trigger. The system chimes in with the worst timing. The monster's aura is jamming his powers, just when things are about to go downhill. Orlaya jumps in and torches the tongue, snapping him free like a last-minute clutch. But now the monster switches targets, deciding Orlaya is the bigger threat. To make it worse, it's regenerating like crazy. Her fire barely slows it down. Then it unleashes this unholy screech, louder than a drama queen on max volume, and Noah has to cover his ears to avoid going deaf. The system pops up again, calling it a phantom shriek, and pats him on the back for resisting it. Meanwhile, the monster chases Orlaya across the room, but she weaves through its attacks using her flame tricks until she's close enough to torch its main body with a clean blast. She glances at Noah and casually asks if he survived that sonic mess. Turns out he's just got a weird ringing in his ears. Before they can even take a breath, The monster regenerates again, this time spinning like some demonic Beyblade, hurling out chaotic attacks they barely dodge. Not wasting a beat, Orlia launches into the air and goes full dive bomb, landing a blazing strike that fries the thing once more. She quickly jumps back to keep her distance. The monster howls like it's actually hurting, and the cries from its multiple voices sound straight up desperate. Orlia throws another fireball, hoping this is the final hit, but nope, it patches itself up again. And now it mutates even more, growing a gaping mouth and sprouting wings. This upgraded nightmare lets out a scream that crushes Noah hard. The system drops a terror debuff on him, his stats tank, and his mana recovery drops by 10%. Blood runs down his lips as he crashes to the floor. He manages to blink away right before Orlia gets grabbed by the tongue and slammed straight into a wall, knocking her out cold. With her down, the monster lunges for Noah again, but he barely dodges with Blink, now finally level 2. It then turns to finish off Orlia. Noah whips out his blade and slices at the beast, landing a solid hit and triggering bleed. But the monster tanks it like nothing happened. Out of mana and low on options, Noah chugs one of those gross mana stones. His bar refills instantly, but he also gets hit with light mana poisoning. Still, he powers through and keeps hacking away, even as his stamina's burning out fast. He tries pulling off his life leech move next, hoping it'll flip the script, but the nightmare creature shrugs it off and lunges straight at him with its jaws wide. Noah barely teleports over it and swings in with another desperate strike, hoping this one actually does something. His mana plummets to just 4%, so he downs another crystal, only to get slammed with triple mana sickness instantly. Still, he blinks into the air and fires off a Void Hunter skill called Obliterate, aiming it dead center at the monster, then follows it up with a rapid double slash on his descent. Right as he lands, his skills ding level up midair and he smashes down for what should have been the killing move. But right then, the mana boost wears off and the system punishes him with full paralysis, skull-splitting headache, and a nearly empty mana pool. This time, things go sideways. Noah gets snatched by the monster's tongue and yanked like he's the main course at a barbecue. It swallows him whole. But Noah's not going out like that. From the inside, he drives his blade through the beast's gut, finally triggering a bleed effect, and stacks his blood drain on top of that. That combo gives him just enough HP to shrug off the paralysis and keep pushing. He starts ripping his way out from inside, forcing the bleed damage to ramp up and stack over itself. Eventually, he tears the thing open from the inside and crawls out, soaked in blood like he just took a relaxing soak in a horror movie spa. As he stumbles forward, the system finally pings "Monster down," and a handful of skills just leveled up. The mission wraps up at last, and since he didn't just survive but actually soloed that freak of nature, a bonus objective silently triggers, rewarding him with a legendary grade tome instead of the epic tier 1 they originally promised. Weird thing is, the system glitches and casually drops a message. The monster's been absorbed, something's been unlocked, and no further explanation is given. Meanwhile, our blood-splattered protagonist hits the floor, drained and barely breathing. After a minute or two, he starts to stir again, manages to sit up, and lazily wipes the gunk off his face. He figures meditation might fix the mana crash and starts trying to recharge, but fate's not on his side. He faceplants again like gravity personally hates him. A wave of debuffs slams into him all at once. That's when Orlia finally wakes up and glances over, asking what kind of weird tactic he thinks he's pulling just laying there. Then she actually throws him a rare thank you, still stunned he's saved her twice now. She even admits that the fact they're both alive feels nothing short of a miracle. As she approaches, she immediately notices what's up. Noah's getting wrecked by hardcore mana poisoning. He asks if it's something he should be panicking about, but she shuts that down quick, saying it's gonna be rough but not deadly. She even offers a fix. Just shut your eyes and flush out every last drop of mana until you're bone dry. Like a good little rookie, Noah follows instructions and goes full mana purge. Surprisingly, it works. The more he empties out, the lighter he feels. But yeah, running on 0 mana doesn't exactly feel amazing. It's like your whole soul's leaking out. He ends up slouching into an involuntary bow like he's saluting royalty. Thankfully, the second he hits 0, the poison symptoms fade and he finally gets a breather. Orlia tells him to just stay down and let his mana come back naturally, which means turning into a floor mat for a while. She figures it'll take him maybe 2 days before his internal region goes back to normal. Noah turns to her and asks if she's got a drink or maybe a potion. As soon as she hands one over, he downs it like a dehydrated fish. Feeling a bit more human again, he gets to his feet and starts complaining about how his build seriously sucks and that he needs a major upgrade. So he finally cracks open the legendary tome he randomly scored. It grants him something called the Lifeblood trait, without overthinking. He activates it right away. The new ability boosts his healing massively. When Orlia hears about it, she's instantly curious what kind of power he just picked up. Noah explains that it lets him store bonus HP and release it all at once for crazy fast healing in a pinch. That kind of game changer instantly makes Orlia jealous, and she throws a jab about how he keeps getting all the cheat codes. But Noah shoots back, saying where he's from, just seeing magic exist at all already feels like hacks. That's when the system sends him another pop-up telling him to consume something. Problem is, the whole prompt looks glitched, missing words, scrambled text like someone spilled soda on the screen. He remembers the ring, slips it on, hoping it'll bump up his identify skill just enough to get a clearer read on this thing. But even then, the item's still a mess. Description broken, half the words missing, like it's been corrupted. He burns way too much mental energy just trying to figure out if it's a curse, a system bug, or just a trash item pretending to be important. At one point, he even considers that the item might be straight-up defective. Despite all that, he shrugs and decides, screw it, and takes the plunge. That's when he gets a message: genetic data will be overwritten. That line alone sends an icy chill down his back. He totally blanks out, leaving Orlaya freaking out and yelling at him, trying to snap him out of whatever this is. Right after that, a new quest drops and bizarre stuff starts kicking off. But the change he's going through suddenly stalls mid-process. Another alert pops up: someone or something called the Devourer just used Purify on him, and that's when he starts puking up thick black sludge like his digestive system just gave up. Looks like the leftovers of all the junk food and expired microwave meals he used to eat back on Earth. Eventually, the system lets him know he's been successfully purified, and all his magic-related abilities just got a big upgrade. The headache disappears, the mana crash clears. And on top of that, every single stat gets a 5-point boost. At this point, Noah looks like he just crawled out of the underworld, totally spent, barely standing, and one step from keeling over. Orla is genuinely concerned now. She's never seen anyone cough up this much cursed gunk in her life. She straight up wonders what kind of nightmare world he came from if his body was hoarding that much toxicity. Meanwhile, Noah's chilling in a pool, reflecting on the fact that just yesterday he was stuck in a dead-end job. Now somehow he's a blood-draining maniac pulling powers out of nowhere. As he scrubs down, the system chimes in one last time with the most useless update ever: you are now clean. He doesn't spend much time thinking about it, and after throwing on some fresh gear, he checks his system menu to see how much his stats actually climbed. That's when he spots a new skill under the Devourer path that passively bumps all his stats by another 5%. And right after that, a growth-type perk unlocks, letting his physical power scale up on its own, either through spellcasting or just putting in the grind. While he's still riding that adrenaline high, Orlaya walks in and hits him with the most obvious line ever, asking if he's finally conscious. Noah casually tells her he even managed to take a bath, then jokes if she wants in too. She points out that she already gave him one. While dragging his unconscious body over and making sure the place was secure, Noah wonders if he was out cold for over an hour or something. But before he can say more, she cuts him off, asking if he isn't already sick of staying cooped up, and says it's time to bounce. There's somewhere else they need to be. Noah suddenly gets the vibe that she might be the one smelling funky and throws in another bath suggestion, but this time she shoots back a bit sharper, saying she already cleaned up. That's when it clicks for him: she's probably one of those anti-winter types. So he starts talking about how he's totally a cold-weather fan. Orlaya just shrugs and says fire mages don't really get bothered by winter, though she never really hated it to begin with. Noah starts going on about snowball fights back home, then randomly asks if she's ever had ice cream. She obviously hasn't. He tries breaking it down, calling it humanity's second-best creation, right behind pizza. She's not buying it. She says she can't tell if it's the language spell glitching again or if he's just broken in the head. Either way, she's blaming him, not the system. They finally step out into the woods, and Noah feels incredible seeing open sky again. But that moment's ruined fast when he notices something weird. There's not one, but two suns shining down. He points it out, saying that where he's from, there's only one, and asks how they're even supposed to keep track of day and night with two stars up there. Orlaya drops the simplest answer ever: when both are out, it's daytime. When both vanish, it's night. But there's also a weird staggered pattern: first dawn, second dawn, and eventually a final dusk before full darkness. Honestly, it sounds like a headache to Noah, who doesn't use his brain for this kind of stuff. Right then, the system chimes in: his run-based mission is marked complete, and he just unlocked the world map. While that's happening, he sees Orlaya holding some trinket and casually asks if that's what she'd been hunting all along. She nods and says it's a simple, non-magical protection charm, something they give kids to ward off dark spirits. That kicks off another quest. Noah now has to deliver the charm to its rightful owner, a kid supposedly living in some village called Lefar, which, judging by the name, probably isn't anywhere close. Luckily, the quest looks low tier in difficulty, and he'll score some XP from it. He tells Orlaya, and she suggests they camp here tonight, especially since final dusk is only a few hours away. She notes that this might be his first legit adventuring gig, so she's gonna be the one taking charge this round. Noah throws her a mock bow, calling her his master and giving her props. Next thing they know, it's morning already, and Orlaya is ready with two huge creatures that look like armored armadillos, apparently called armadiles. They're their best shot at making it through the forest without becoming monster chow. Noah isn't exactly thrilled to be riding oversized animals and nervously asks if these things are safe. She hops onto one like it's no big deal and tells him they're chill plant eaters, pretty easy to handle and happy to help people as long as they're fed. Weird part, the saddles are already fitted on them like they were waiting for riders. Noah starts wondering if he got Ice Guide into a Jungle Book remake and tries mounting one, but the creature yeets him to the dirt and he ends up face planting. Orla is already saddled up, ready to roll, not wanting to be left behind like a side NPC. Noah fires up Blink and teleports onto the saddle like a boss. The ride kicks off. As the creature leaps over massive trees, Noah instantly gets flung off again. His grip clearly sucks. He blinks and manages to grab a branch, but today's just not it. The branch snaps and he crashes down hard. To top it off, the creature walks over and licks his face. Noah's reaction says it all. It's absolutely revolting. After a rough start and way too many hits to the ego, he finally figures out how to ride properly. Now he's suddenly vibing, acting like this is the best thing he's ever done. He even says it's like riding a dragon. And the second that word drops, Orla snaps to attention and demands to know if dragons existed back on Earth. Noah tries explaining that dragons were all over human media, films, fantasy novels, manhwa, you name it, but they were more like fictional icons. Then he brings up how the closest real-world match were dinosaurs, but those poor creatures didn't make it. They got wiped out long before humans were around. Orla tries to follow his rant and says it's probably for the best those dinos disappeared, because in her world, elder dragons are rumored to level cities just for fun. Even though people haven't seen one in ages and most think they're fairy tales, she's convinced they were real. Their convo keeps bouncing between dragons and dinos until they finally make it out of the woods. Noah asks how far the village is from here, and Orla tells him it's only a 4-hour ride. The two of them roll into a small town on the backs of their armadillos, and the locals greet them like they just returned from defeating the final boss. Orla says tiny villages are always like this. Extra warm and dramatic. Noah kinda likes it and thinks he could actually enjoy living in a place like this. They check into a local inn. Noah, being the sentimental guy he is, actually thanks the armadillo for getting him there in one piece. Meanwhile, Orla pays a worker to feed them. Hay mixed with powdered manticore, apparently. Noah asks why she tipped the guy so much. She says it's just smart, people work harder when you treat them right. He nods, saying that logic totally checks out. Orla takes a jab at him, saying nothing about him screams ordinary, and warns him to lay low if he doesn't want to attract trouble. Noah's confused, so she breaks it down. Adventurers might meet people from other realms sometimes, but the average villager has no clue. Honestly, she says even a talking bush would be easier to explain than him. They head inside the inn, where the innkeeper greets them warmly and asks how long they're staying. Orla answers just for the night and pays for a 2-bed room. The guy behind the counter slides the key over and points them to their spot. Right after that, Orla lets Noah know she's got a few people to chat with and tells him he might as well catch some sleep for now. But clearly, crashing isn't on Noah's agenda. He's already eyeing the crew hanging out in the lounge like they're some rare breed of humans that don't instantly try to murder him. Just kicking back and chatting without constantly watching his back actually sounds kinda decent for once, but just when he's starting to relax, he realizes he said something dumb. And of course, Orla is not about to ignore that. She gives him a sharp glare and tells him to keep that nonsense to himself, then says if he's really planning to rest, he better take the key before she's back. Once she walks out, the innkeeper grins and says she's got a fiery vibe for sure, and Noah just shrugs, saying that might be what he finds most appealing about her. The guy then offers him a drink, assuming he's gotta be beat and parched after hiking through the woods, and adds that only a lunatic or an adventurer would even try going in there. Either way, a drink's probably earned. Noah agrees. And the man gives the order to a waitress, then shows him to a nearby table to chat. He asks for Noah's name and mentions he doesn't look like a local. Noah introduces himself and casually confirms he's new around here, even lifts his mug while saying he literally just awakened yesterday. That nearly makes the old guy spit out his drink. He immediately asks what the hell someone like him is doing tagging along with an E-rank girl. He's convinced Noah must be crushing hard and warns him that catching feelings like that is a bad move. Noah takes a chill sip and replies that it's not like that. He got tossed into a dungeon, awakened right in the middle of the chaos, and barely made it out alive. He adds that Orla has been helping him out ever since. That's when the innkeeper pieces it together that they're adventurers. Same as he used to be, then he introduces himself as Lorian. Noah checks his status screen and spots the title Stonecarved Warrior, so naturally, he asks if Lorian used to be in the game too. Lorian nods and says he lost his magic in a tragic mess and quit the whole adventuring thing after that. He's just glad he lived to tell the tale. Noah's curiosity spikes, so he asks what kind of beast they ran into. Lorian explains his squad was exploring a dungeon up north when a translucent ghost-white creature emerged from deep inside and tore through them like paper before anyone could even react. Everyone was frozen, 2 of his teammates got wiped out immediately, and he ended up losing his mana. Since that day, no one's ever seen that thing again. As Noah downs another gulp, his lifeblood ability kicks in and filters out every drop of poison in the drink, even the stuff that was supposed to give him a light buzz. Lorian notices and chuckles, telling him he can disable the effect whenever he wants. Noah does that on the spot and orders another round. The man mentions that the skill can be flipped back on at any time if needed. After a while, Noah switches it back and then casually asks Lorian if he's heard anything about villagers who went missing, or the team that went looking for them. Lorian says people have been vanishing into the forest for around 6 months now. Even the pair sent to investigate just disappeared. A few adventurers were eventually sent in to poke around, but they came back saying nothing looked off. After that, the whole thing got written off and the village moved on. He goes on to say the mines caved and not long afterward, and since nobody made it out, the area got locked down. The plan is to send more adventurers to check it properly. But he notes that keeping the mines sealed forever would cut off a vital resource, and surviving winter would be a nightmare without it. He also warns that weird howling sounds still echo from the blocked tunnels, and people are starting to fear there might be undead creeping around. If that's the case, the guild's bound to get involved and might even order everyone out, which the locals really don't want. After the chat, Noah steps outside and starts exploring the village, eventually noticing a bit of a crowd forming near the mayor's house. Hearing all the gossip in the air, he heads over to see what's up. Inside, the mayor's locked in a heated back and forth with an old miner. The miner's all about keeping folks fed through winter, while the mayor just wants to keep things safe. The villagers nearby are just standing there, watching in silence. The mayor tries to ease the tension and tells everyone not to mob his house. But then Noah randomly runs into Orlaya again, and both of them are like, "What are you doing here?" Turns out she came to ask the mayor privately about the backstabbers in her squad, while Noah just says he's out for a stroll. Noah wonders aloud if they should pitch in somehow, and Orlaya agrees, saying they're just as short on resources as anyone else, so they might as well. So, keeping the calmest expression he can fake, Noah walks right up and interrupts the yelling match, telling the 2 geezers to stop bickering like kids since they both clearly care about the town. He suggests they chill and talk it out properly, which kinda leaves the mayor and miner stunned. The miner, still confused, blurts out asking who the heck this guy even is. Meanwhile, Orlaya looks like she's watching a train wreck she can't stop. Noah puts on a full performance, calling himself a freshly awakened adventurer and clearly the answer to all their problems. He says the village has got dungeon issues and needs someone to deal with the weird stuff, and guess what? He's volunteering. He even promises to make it back in one piece. The miner claps back that sending a rookie on a mission like this is just a fast track to a funeral. So Noah casually points at Orlaya and says he's not going alone, which immediately ticks her off. She steps in and states she's an E-rank on a legit quest from a few days ago, and whatever's going down here might be connected. The mayor recognizes her instantly and asks about her group. She says she's trying to find them and that she's also down to check out the current mess. Noah quickly cuts in and demands a reward, flashing a smug grin like he's closing some massive deal. The mayor looks intrigued and asks what kind of reward they're talking about. Noah shoots his shot and asks for a new skill, but the mayor says their stuff might not be what he needs, and suggests hitting up Windra City and talking to the guild hall there instead. Orlaya jumps in and asks for a low-tier mana stone and 2 horses in exchange for completing the job. The miner suddenly says he's tagging along too, since he knows the mines like the back of his hand. Noah shrugs and seals the deal with a handshake, even if the whole thing feels super awkward. He gets a new quest to investigate the mine, but Orlaya instantly tells him to move aside and let her do the negotiating from now on. He steps aside without any fuss. But then the miner taps him on the shoulder and asks why someone just awakened looks like he's pushing middle age. Noah explains that he's from a place where magic's just a fantasy, so his start came late. The old guy looks completely thrown off and asks if he's from the dead zone. Since Noah's drawing a blank, the miner clarifies it's a place totally stripped of mana, where nothing survives for long, left behind after some ancient disaster wrecked the land. Noah says that while his home wasn't some scorched wasteland, it wasn't a paradise either. Still, it definitely wasn't called the dead zone. The miner just shrugs it off and says none of that really matters. What does is helping fix the village's mess. Noah locks in the handshake and agrees to meet up early the next day. Later that afternoon, he catches up with Orlaya and asks if she's found any clues. She tells him her team's up ahead in Windra City, and that's where they can also get him officially listed with the guild. After traveling a bit more, they finally stop just outside the city, when Orlaya suddenly remembers she needs to deliver a fallen comrade's pendant. Noah volunteers to come along. They walk up to a humble-looking house and knock. The adventurer's mom opens the door, clearly expecting to see her son, but the moment she spots the necklace and pieces it together, her voice goes quiet. She softly asks if they found him, and Orlaya shakes her head, letting the silence do the talking. The woman turns to her daughter and tells her to let the visitors in. Inside, the girl gently comforts her mom, saying they already kinda saw this coming. She thanks the two for bringing the necklace home, saying it helps bring some closure, but adds that she doesn't have anything to offer them in return. Noah calmly says they're still working on the village job, and Orlia apologizes that they couldn't do more. He gives her a gentle pat on the back, and the older woman quietly asks to be left alone. Just as they're about to leave, she stops them and asks what really happened. Orlia explains the Abyss cult had taken a bunch of villagers, including her son, and were using them for blood rites. She says she and Noah barely got out alive, and without him she wouldn't have made it. They searched for anyone left but found no one, just the pendant. The woman then asks if they at least dealt with the cultists. Noah firmly confirms that none of them made it out. That brings her a bit of peace. She begins to reflect on her son Pierce. How he just turned 14, always had a wild streak, and used to chase monsters even as a kid. She adds that his dad was once an adventurer too, but gave it up after getting married, though it never really left him and he met a similar fate. Pierce had the same drive, and she knew that no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't have stopped him. She asks if they're like that too, always chasing danger. Noah admits that most of his life has been about staying alive in dangerous places and outrunning his past, but becoming an adventurer. That was about the insane rush of magic and wanting to explore what this new world has to offer. The girl looks a bit thrown off by that. And after Orlia elbows him as a warning, he quickly explains that he's from a far-off place, which makes everything here feel like another reality. The girl stands up with a serious look and says she has a favor. She hands over the necklace and says Pierce would have wanted them to have it. Noah promises to keep it safe. After saying their goodbyes, the quest Lost Remembrance completes and grants him a good chunk of XP. While heading back, Orlia reminds him they need actual rest to head out early. Meanwhile, Noah's laser-focused on what's for dinner, which convinces her he's basically been living like this forever. The dwarf leads them to the dungeon and says that after the core was wrecked, the whole place has been totally lifeless. Noah's surprised. He didn't know dungeons could even die. Jerome explains that once a dungeon loses its core, that's basically game over, though he adds that it's dumb to waste a dungeon. Just farming from a sealed one can make you filthy rich. Whole kingdoms have risen from doing just that. Right outside the sealed area, Noah wonders if his obliteration spell could slice through the rubble, but decides to keep his powers hidden and gets to work the manual way. Shockingly, Jerome digs like an absolute beast and says it's not a power. It's just raw strength and years of Minecraft training. Inside, they find a ton of monstones lodged in the walls, untouched for who knows how long. But Orlia warns Noah not to let his guard down, there could be monsters lurking. So Noah gears up. The dwarf says if anything was alive in there, it would have shown itself already. They keep going and finally reach a massive gate that leads to the mine's core area, but what's behind it leaves them completely speechless. The stench of rotting corpses is so bad that Noah nearly loses it. That's when a gut-wrenching scream echoes from somewhere deep inside. They sprint toward the sound. There they find a lone miner laid out on the floor, his arms and legs cleanly mangled like he was tormented by something truly sinister. Noah tries to reassure him and asks what sort of monster did this. The guy turns around, his eyes corrupted, with void tentacles snaking from his head, and weakly tells him to run before it's too late. Noah starts panicking as those tentacles suddenly lash out while the man shrieks in pure agony. And then a system message appears. This is a void-grafted human. Jerome and Orlia both yell at Noah to move right as a new quest appears: defeat Victral's legacy experiment, the reward and epic summoning ability. The miner suddenly floats into the air as black tentacles erupt from his body like a cursed version of Dr. Octopus. But Noah doesn't back down, he's ready to fight. Orlia tells the dwarf to get out while he still can, just as the mutated miner fully transforms and goes after the nearest target. Noah blinks away just in time but is instantly annoyed. This thing can teleport too. Out of nowhere, a massive fire spell roars past Noah and slams into the spot where the mutant was, except it vanished. He looks up, and sure enough, the twisted freak is dropping in from above. Noah quickly teleports again to dodge, but the creature is already on him in a blur, forcing him to block its flurry of attacks. Thankfully, Orlia lands a solid hit with her flames and pulls its focus off him. Then she notices a giant boulder above. Using her fire magic, she rolls the stone loose, catches it like it's made of feathers, engulfs it in flames, and then absolutely hurls the burning rock straight at the void mutant. Sensing this might be his only shot, Noah bolts straight at the stunned mutant and buries both blades deep into the back of its skull, hitting it with a nasty bleeding effect. The mutant roars in pain and yanks him off like a bug, then starts thrashing him using those gross tentacles like a whip, stacking on corruption poison. When the thing starts charging up for a final hit, Orlia yells at Tentacle Man to step in and throw it off. At the same time, Noah sees his health bar plummeting and knows he needs a potion ASAP. He chugs an anti-poison brew and charges back into the chaos. Using Orlia's flames as a smoke screen, he tries to land the killing hit. But the void mutant suddenly glitches and smashes into the wall like it got hard reset. That's when Noah notices the miners morphing into something 10 times more cursed. Without wasting a second, he whips out his dagger, clearly ready to put the poor guy down for good, and sprints in. Orla is convinced he's lost his damn mind and begs him to chill, but he's all in, hacking through chunky tentacles like he's trying to open a tuna can with 2 butter knives. One of those limbs ain't having it though. Smacks him right in the face and locks onto his arm just as the mutant kicks off Phase 2 of the boss battle. Out of nowhere, a massive fog of deadly energy explodes out, sending Noah flying like he just got RPG'd. He crashes so hard that his arm literally pops off, and his health tanks to 20% before he even realizes what slammed into him. His healing perk shuts down and suddenly, he's trembling all over since the poison's now running wild. Gritting through it, he grabs his busted arm, shoves it into his inventory like a cursed action figure part, and silently prays he figures out how to reattach it later. While he's struggling, Orla shoots up into the air and launches a massive fire orb like she's dropping a meteor. Meanwhile, Noah's channeling Sword God energy, but if Sword God had one arm, no hesitation. He launches himself at Tentacle Man and clocks him square in the face, then immediately chops off that gnarly tentacle hairdo like he's giving him the worst barbershop experience of his life. But he's not done yet. Our guy straight up loses it and goes beast mode, literally biting the tentacles like he hasn't eaten in days. The ultra-toxic slime burns his mouth, but it also levels up both his resistance and lifeblood skills. He tags in with Orlia for a bit longer until she suddenly tells him to stand clear, because she's about to drop the anime nuke and turn the dude into a pile of ash. Once the inferno calms down, Noah notices the guy's body is just gone, which means he probably zipped out to a shadow nearby. Thinking fast, he tells Orlia to light the place up, cause the freak only travels through darkness. Hearing that, she powers up her spirit bomb and raises it sky high. That's when Noah catches sight of the mutant trying to sneak off. He pounces and pins him by jamming a dagger into his shoulder, but that's not enough. The guy breaks loose and grabs Jerome as a meat shield, smirking like he just flipped the script. Noah just stares him down and warns him not to get too smug, because he's about to witness a play his smooth, peanut brain could never predict. He dives into his inventory and pulls out the Void Lord's letter. The second Tentacle Man sees it, he recoils like it's burning his soul. With a dark edge in his voice, Noah says that if he can feel the power he's holding, then he better understand what's about to go down. And that dropping the dwarf is his only shot at living another day. He demands the guy let Jerome go. Nothing happens at first, but when he repeats it, the mutant hurls the dwarf like trash and lunges at Noah, trying to snatch the letter. Big mistake. Our boy spins it right around on him and plants a dagger deep into his chest, using the guy's own momentum against him. Orlia yells for him to step back. Now it's her turn to end things for real. She soars up and drops another flaming nuke, blowing the place sky high. The explosion is so intense that the ceiling boulders start rattling like the cave's about to implode. Still, Noah just walks up to the mutant like it's a chill stroll through the park, full Jero energy. And in a surprise twist, the mutant actually snaps back for a sec and begs him to finish it. No hesitation, Noah gives him the mercy kill right then and there. The system rewards him for taking out a rare level 60 monster, and just like that, all his skills level up again, wrapping up the ugly business of ending Victral's reign. For a second, Noah genuinely feels awful. The poor miner had to sit helplessly inside that body while it went full horror movie on everyone. Then, a new panel appears asking if he wants to absorb the abyssal hacked human. Naturally, he hits accept, and while his evolution bar jumps up, he also downloads the miner's entire trauma-filled memory log. That's when everything shatters. A tidal wave of pain crashes into him and he lets out a scream so guttural it could raise the dead. His whole body shakes as he fights to survive the psychic overload. The images, the torture. The twisted rituals, the century-long torment tear through his brain like fire. And when the storm finally fades, his eyes burn with one purpose. He's gonna erase every single abomination Victral ever made and wipe the abyssal cult off the map. Fueled by fury, a new quest window pops up, telling him to annihilate the cult and hunt every freak involved. The catch: the difficulty is off the charts and the prize, no clue. Feeling for him, Orlia gently tells him they need to bounce fast and find a priest to fix him up. On their way out, Noah blacks out, and when he finally comes to, he's lounging on a super soft couch with a smoke in the air and snacks being crunched at the other end. Sitting there like a smug gremlin is Dylan, casually dropping a morning and saying he's the least happy to see Noah again. Noah asks why the hell he's in this dimension now, and Dylan smirks, saying he should have figured that out already. Rewinding the memory, Noah remembers the fight and the last moment being Orlia dragging him out like a fireman carry. He also realizes, yeah, his hand's still gone, same as IRL. Meanwhile, Dylan munches a chip and watches Earth's chaos unfold on screen. No magic back there, and yet the people still manage to wreak just as much havoc, if not worse, because humans gonna human. He flicks Noah a chip and says he's been poking around Noah's world just cause he didn't think he'd make it this far, then throws in a sarcastic little slow clap that instantly gets under Noah's skin. Annoyed, Noah grabs the remote and cuts the TV, telling this smug gymrat recluse that he's been messing with him since day one. Dylan denies it, says he's been clean and that the pact literally doesn't let him interfere with either side. Trash talk, though, fully allowed. He leans back, grinning like a devil on vacation, and admits he's been placing bets on Noah the whole time. Now that that's out of the way, he gets to the real talk, the new high-stakes quest Noah just got hit with. Dylan leans in close, drops the chill act, and tells him flat out, there's absolutely no freaking way he can take down the abyssal cult by himself, not in this lifetime. Noah cracks a joke, saying he's actually shocked Dylan has even an ounce of faith in him, but Dylan doesn't smile. He goes stone-faced serious and says plain and simple, taking on that mission is basically volunteering for death. Noah shrugs it off and replies that if the quest came to him, then it's only right he sees what he's really capable of, trying not to violate their pact. Dylan asks what it'd take for him to drop the whole cult thing, because even though the abyssal missions aren't directly tied to the Void, they still help out the Void Lords one way or another. But Noah couldn't care less. The politics, not his problem. The Void's goals, also not his problem. He says flat out he doesn't give a damn. Dylan, though, reminds him everyone has a price. Maybe it's love, maybe cash, or maybe some fantasy wish waiting to be granted. He puts a hand on Noah's shoulder like some back alley mobster and asks again what would make him let it go. He says he only wants a quick fix since, well, people hurting people is kind of the default setting in every world anyway. Noah just stares at him and asks how that even solves anything. What's he supposed to do? Clean up one cult at a time forever, even if he saves 100 people? What difference does it make when more just pop up somewhere else? Finally fed up with Dylan's constant negativity, Noah smacks his hand off like he's slapping a drum and demands to know why the guy who's supposedly on his team is trying so hard to talk him out of it. Noah knows the Void's got plenty of other cults running wild, so why does this one even matter to Dylan? Dylan says it's not shocking, it's just how humans are, but Noah calls BS. He's not buying that everyone's evil excuse. Dylan pulls the classic objection card and calls him naive. But Noah fires right back, saying Dylan's the real clown here, bending over backwards to protect some corrupted fanatics from one beat-up rookie who's just had enough. Still not letting it go, Dylan repeats his question, what's Noah's price? But Noah wants something back, the real reason the abyssal cult matters so much to the Void Lords. Realizing there's no dodging it now, Dylan finally explains. Noah's already seen the Void's astral lair, the birthplace of Void magic and where Void creatures dwell. But scattered across the real world are fragments of that same energy called the Abyss. These Abyss zones act like fuel tanks for twisted believers, mutating them into freaks who draw raw Void power straight from the source. The cultists use that power and in return spread the Abyss like a virus, corrupting the world piece by piece. Noah is furious after hearing this, that the Void Lord basically doesn't care how the power gets used, it burns him. But Dylan doesn't even blink. He says what humans do with power isn't the Void's business. That makes Noah ask the big one, why are they even bothering to spread the Abyss? Dylan calmly answers that the Void doesn't have a goal, it just consumes. No morals, no purpose, no right and wrong. That sends Noah over the edge. He flips the table clean across the room, straight into the monster-sized TV screen, and screams at Dylan that he's seen what that consumption actually looks like. He has felt it. After letting him go off, Dylan calmly reminds him, the person he got revenge on wasn't even connected to the cult's real leadership. So why is he still angry? He gave him the full truth, explained the Void's logic, laid everything out. Now he just wants to know, will Noah finally back off? But Noah gives him the coldest answer possible. There's absolutely nothing in existence that would make him stop. He doesn't care how long it takes or if it kills him. He's made it his mission to erase every last trace of the abyssal cult from the world. Permanently. He storms out, determined more than ever. He now knows that the cult's power comes from Void creatures, but since he's under a Void pact, he technically has the right to handle these corrupted freaks however he wants. As he leaves the room, he suddenly gets a weird spark of an idea to change the contracts binding the Void touched. Right then, a new quest window appears. A new Void, its goal. Create a new path for those who were consumed by the Abyss. Back inside, Dylan sits there watching him go. He's clearly bummed to see Noah be so self-sacrificing. With a flat voice, he tells him to enjoy his miserable little rebellion and warns him. He's walking straight into the path of the Void Lord's fury, and they won't ignore that forever. Back in the real world, Noah wakes up. Sitting upright in bed, he mutters to himself that passing out this often might actually be his new hobby. Just then, Aurelia walks in, casually mentioning that he was out for 2 days straight and the healer thought it'd take a week to bounce back. But our boy feels surprisingly solid aside from, missing half a limb. Aurelia, grinning bright, tells him not to stress about it. Arms can be regrown if he's got the cash, or if he's lucky, his blood-related skills might help him regrow it himself after leveling up. Wouldn't even be the weirdest thing he's done so far. That makes Noah feel way better. He asks her if there's a nearby library. He wants to dig around for more solutions. She tells him to go for it. as long as he doesn't get into anything shady. Noah smirks and says nothing, which basically means he's absolutely getting into something shady, because yeah, nearly every one of his powers screams villain energy. But then Orlia gets serious. She says she's been meaning to bring this up for a while. She knows people from other worlds tend to have wild skill sets, and she's thankful for everything he's done for her. Still, she just can't ignore what she's sensing, 3 distinct energy signatures inside him. And it's clear he's not in control of them. That means he's juggling 3 different paths. That by itself isn't rare, but these paths, they're cracked, way stronger than most people's. He hasn't done anything wrong, but the fact that the abyssal cult summoned him and he's using void powers, yeah. That makes her nervous, and yet she still chooses to trust him, because when it counted, he had her back, even though he could have just walked away and left her behind. Like a total boss, Noah casually says he used to dabble in every martial art under the sun back in high school. Names off all the ones he tried because he's always been into combat, even if he bounced around a lot. Then admits he's not entirely sure what's going on with his triple path setup. He just made choices to survive after waking up in a world that made 0 sense. Hearing that, Flame Queen gives him a look of full understanding. She says she trusts him now, something she doesn't say lightly, and asks him to return that trust. She uses her flames to lift the illusion hiding the ring's true form. And because she trusts him that much, she hands it over and tells him to inspect it for real. He scans it and gets a cryptic description. But when she pushes him to concentrate more, the illusion fades and shows it's actually a one-time use relic crafted from the tears of a life dragon. It literally kicks in when your HP hits under 1% and gives you an extra shot at staying alive. Orlia admits she's never handed it to anyone else before, not even once. And Noah, he's honestly feeling kind of proud he managed to earn her trust without blowing it. That said, she still brings up the weird letter he pulled out during the fight with the Void Mutant underground, saying it had the nastiest Void vibes she's ever picked up. She starts wondering if he's been sitting on more stuff like that since day one, but Noah promises he's been keeping it real. No lies. Straight talk, and hey, if she doubts him, she can always rely on that mystical girl sense to tell if he's capping. Kidding aside, Orlia whips out this strange amber crystal that apparently acts like a truth checker and tells him to hold it to his chest and push a little mana into it. Once he does, Noah says honestly that most of his old memories are just gone, like someone wiped his brain on purpose. He swears he got reborn inside the Void, made some kind of deal, and that's where his ability to command Voidlings and that letter came from. But he's clear he's got 0 plans to hurt her or anyone innocent, not like those cult lunatics trying to blow up the world. At the end of it, Orlia makes him repeat after her that he hasn't lied and swear it on his astral soul. And when Noah echoes her word for word like a legend, the stone lights up like a Christmas tree. Since it didn't crack even a little, she tells him it means he passed and she's officially putting her life in his hands. So he better stop acting like nobody trusts him. Noah's kinda amazed the rock actually works that well. But she says it just tracks unstable mana flow when someone lies, and only absolute mana pros can fake it out. Later, he steps outside for a breather and heads to the library to dig up info on prosthetics and this insane new world he's stuck in. The first thing to catch his attention. Some high-tech looking robot arm concept that looks straight out of sci-fi. But as he reads more, he stumbles on something nastier: void parasites. Think mutant worms on crack. They're tiny, but if one crawls inside a host, it latches onto the spine and brain, taking full control. Not only do they wreck the body with mutations, but sometimes they actually boost strength while keeping the host conscious. Kinda disturbing, kinda cool. It's like some bizarre team-up situation. Tempted by the idea of getting his own version of Miggy from Parasite, Noah actually starts to consider bonding with one. Problem is, he's not sure it'll work since his hand got completely sliced off. So he digs deeper and finds that void creatures can be summoned using a move called Life Command. They run off your life energy, which isn't an issue for Noah since his abilities basically printed on demand. That's why the cult always needed human sacrifices to call void monsters, just like they tried to feed Orlia to him. The Life Command skill basically hardlinks the creature to follow every single thing the summoner says. He opens his stash and pulls out the tome labeled Abyssal Call, which lets him summon any familiar from the void. He's ready to launch his unholy plan into action. We cut to a pitch-black room with just him and Orlia. Noah activates the tome and unlocks Abyssal Call. Then he grabs this glowing purple void stone and spends the next few minutes sketching on the floor, laser-focused, until the magic circle lights up. With a cocky grin, he walks into the center like he's clocking in for his shift and triggers the summoning spell like it's just a regular Tuesday. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in the void dimension, a whole mess of armored worms are just floating around like zero-G freaks. The moment they hear the summoning call, they go full starving at a buffet mode and rush toward the opening to chow down on the offering. All of them rocket toward the portal like cursed missiles, but bigger void beasts start trying to block their way. Still, one specific worm is so hyped it slips past the big boys like butter, ignoring every threat chasing after it. It zooms through the portal, fully locked onto the sacrifice waiting on the other side. As it crosses over, Noah's command echoes in its mind, mentally programming it not to go berserk and instead bind itself fully to him. Once it lands, it hears Noah's voice telling it to head to his missing hand immediately. The little worm knows the deal's screw up, and it's getting banished back to the void. The parasite morphs into some thick, shadowy slime and reconnects his arm right at the joint. He gives it the name Tony and tells the loyal little blob to keep going. But then, out of nowhere, a sharp blast of pain slams into him, dropping Noah like a brick, and he breaks out in a level 1 fever, seeing him hurting. Orlia starts panicking and straight up threatens to torch the whole arm unless he unsummons the thing. Noah insists it's fine, even though he looks like he just rage uninstalled an entire game. Then the pain spikes even harder and he lets out a full scream. Orlia says yeah. This doesn't look fine to her. Noah admits it feels like his insides are being set on fire. So he rips off his shirt like he's starring in a dramatic K-drama moment, showing off a body sculpted by anime logic. At the same time, the energy swirling around his arm kicks up, and his fever hits level 2. Orlia touches his back totally professionally, of course, and confirms he's actually burning up. Noah tells her it's because Tony's sucking out his life energy to finish healing the arm. He begs her to hand over a healing potion cause the pain's gotten so bad he can't even stand up anymore. Crashing to the floor like an absolute monster, he tells himself pain's a loser's mindset and swears he won't fold. That causes his pain resistance skill to jump to level 2, powering through. He starts meditating, breathing steady like he's in the middle of some cursed hot yoga session. Our guy levels up his meditation skill to 3, reaching a new kind of chill in the middle of hell. Eventually, the pain just vanishes. He glances at his now pitch-black hand, totally numb. With the fever gone, he throws his shirt back on Orlia's, visibly disappointed, and she hands him a potion. He drinks it like a Fortnite chug jug and all the pain disappears instantly. He notices his fingers twitching like Tony's still tweaking something, and politely asks the Void Room to tone it down. The parasite responds by informing him his nails are now toxic claws and his arm strength's been dialed way up. Noah nods, fully approving the upgrade, while Orlia just silently questions what that big black hand might be used for. That moment marks the official transformation of Noah's species from modified human to full-on human symbiote. As he flexes his badass new arm, the system pops up to say the Voidworm now boosts all his basic instincts and gives a passive buff to every physical stat. Orlia's straight up shocked it actually worked, and Noah, he admits he didn't really expect it to. With a wicked grin that could make demons blush, he says every second of agony was totally worth it. Orlia warns that this kind of change is bound to draw more eyes, though apparently it's not unheard of for adventurers to swap lost limbs with monster parts if the parts actually sync. She eyes his clawed hand and says it's less cool and more horrifying, cause it looks way too human and totally inhuman at the same time. Right at that moment, an eyeball just casually blinks open in the center of his palm, and Noah immediately realizes he seriously needs to figure out how to keep this thing under wraps before he gets kicked out of every building he walks into. Intrigued, Orlia asks if she can poke it, and gently slides her finger across the creepy appendage, instantly triggering his fingers to shoot out claws sharp enough to make Ezio jealous. Seeing those hidden blades snap out like built-in daggers, Noah's straight up ecstatic. Orlia tells him he actually lucked out big time, since most adventurers are stuck constantly swapping gear to stay relevant, but his arm's gonna power up right alongside him. Hearing that, Noah lights up like a kid unwrapping a PS6 and declares it's time to take his beast arm for a spin, before he gets too pumped. Orlia shuts it down real quick to stop him from demolishing their rental spot. So they head out to a nearby park, and our guy zeroes in on a poor tree that's clearly about to get clapped. His cursed hand starts dripping with bad vibes as he leaps in and slices down, carving massive trenches into the bark like it's warm butter. And once the poison kicks in, the tree's looking more patchy than the rock's head.